out, going to smack him in the mouth.
Nielsen rolling to his right, trying to outrun Olympus defenders. He throws it. It's picked off. Nash Taylor is going to pick it off. And off to Siegel. He's back, baby, and he's got room to work. And he's going to go 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Sam Siegel. Hands off to Hodgson. Hodgson's got room to work. And he's going to drag a tackler into the end zone. Touchdown, Isaac Hodgson. Roll out to his right. Got a man. Renard brings it in. He's got first down yardage. They throw a bubble screen. That's Chase Mosley. He throws it out deep for Sam Green, and he's pulled it in. They hand off. Siegel is going to walk in for 6. Welcome to the Olympus vs. Brighton pregame show on OlyTV. I'm Mark Schwartz.
And I'm Jackson Bodley.
And we'll be your analysts this evening. To start off, just a great game. We've got a top 20 matchup in the state. Mm-hmm. Olympus, number 20. Brighton, number 9. Olympus is 3-1 and 1-0 in region. Brighton is also 3-1 and also 1-0 in region. Olympus took down Murray last week, 45-28. And Brighton took down Highland last week, 49-24. So, Jack, who are some of the key players we need to be looking at going into this game?
I think for Olympus, you got to be looking out for their running backs, Ryan Renard and Sam Siegel. They've both had huge games, have been pretty consistent all year, and having both of them, if they both have a good game, it'll be really hard to stop them. And we've also seen them be able to pass with Seth Roberts, too. So Olympus, they have a lot of options here on offense. For Brighton, I think that 2/3 of their yards this year have been through the air, so they got to look to continue passing the ball with their sophomore quarterback. And I think, with Olympus, their defense is a little bit better at defending the run than it is defending the pass. It's like they're going to be passing a little more than they usually do with Brighton to try and get some more yards and more touchdowns. One thing for Olympus I think they should do defensively is try and get pressure on the sophomore quarterback and try and get him to make mistakes, because he is a sophomore.
Yeah, Jack Johnson, sophomore quarterback for Brighton. He has 11 passing touchdowns in 4 games. So it'll be interesting to see what Coach Whitehead does to try to lock him down. Probably the biggest storyline of the game is Lander Barton. He's a 4-star recruit linebacker for Brighton. He has 9 D1 offers, all from P5 schools. So he is a very good player. Most likely going to go to Utah. We'll see what he does, and if he can stop that dynamic offense between Siegel and Renard.
Yeah, they got to keep him guessing on whether they're going to throw it over the top of him, do a play action, maybe a read option, and they're not sure who they're going to hand it off to. So they got to keep him guessing and not let him commit to one single spot.
Also of note, interior offensive lineman Jacob Reese for the Bengals is a 3-star recruit, and he's committed to Utah State. So some college-level talent on this Bengal team. This is really the game of the year for the Titans. If they win this game, they will lock up region.
Yeah.
They'll have the lead in region, basically. They control their own destiny. And RPI rankings, the rankings that decide the playoff seeds, first come out next week after this game. So a win for Olympus today could be huge in helping them climb up those 5A RPI and really shock people, I think. If the first RPI comes out after this win and you're like, wow, Olympus is, 4th. And you're like, I did not see them that high. And that's what a win against Brighton could do for the Titans. You were talking about Olympus throwing the ball a little more. It was interesting against Murray. We saw five-man wide out and a lot more spread offense. But they still rushed for 375 yards. So do you think, what formation do you think these passing plays are going to come out of?
I think they're mainly going to pass out of the spread, and they're mainly going to run out of the wing tee. But having those two offenses both formations that work so well individually, it's really hard to game plan for both of them, and you're not knowing what to expect.
Yeah. So going back to Ryan Renard and Sam Siegel, both of them got hurt actually during the Murray game, and both of them came back. Siegel had an incredible game. He had over 100 yards rushing along with 2 touchdowns. Even though he got banged up, we saw him stretching out on the sideline. Renard, it's been interesting. Since the Hunter game, he got hurt around the end of the Hunter game on one of the last drives. He has not run the ball a lot. He has not been the main back for the Titans. And again, him getting hurt again, how do you think that will affect Ryan Renard?
I'm not sure. I think it might help him a little in the long run because with these a couple weeks in a row where he hasn't done much, he's kind of mad because he wants more yards, and he's gonna motivate himself to do better and get more yards and play better his next time out there. Yeah, I think when he got hurt, they put in Sam Siegel, and he had an incredible game. And after that, they realized that they have 2 great backs and not just Ryan Renard, and so now they're going to use a little bit of both once they're both healthy.
Yeah, it was interesting. Even when Siegel was out, Renard didn't get a lot of touches against Murray. And then when Siegel and Renard came back, they used Isaac Hodgson and Sam Siegel in the wing T, and then used Ryan Renard more as a slot receiver. So I wonder against Brighton if we'll see a lot more of a Ryan Renard in the slot to help stimulate the passing.
I think in the slot, when you're playing in the spread formation, there's not as much contact for the receivers and the people who get the ball, but in the wing T, almost every time you're going to be running through a hole with lots of linemen and backers, there's going to be a lot of contact. So maybe right now they're just going to keep him in the spread a little bit more, maybe keep him out of injuries, and run with Siegel, who seems very capable at breaking runs.
All right. Another storyline going into this game is Olympus is on a 3-game win streak. If they win this game, there's a very high potential that they could win out and only have 1 loss to Mountain Ridge.
Yeah, entering the playoffs at 9-1 would be great.
Looking back to some keys to the game, you were talking about passing for Olympus. Is that their key to the game, is effectively passing the ball?
Well, I think you're going to, in the first quarter and a half, you're going to see them running out the wing T, passing out of the wing T, running out of the spread, passing out of the spread. They're just going to be trying lots of everything. Then once they find out what Brighton's worst at defending, they're going to attack with that in the second half. Because they have so many options, in the first half, it's about a matter of figuring out what they're the worst at defending, what they're least prepared for. Then you can attack with that. It's like that's what we're going to expect. Because they're capable of passing for 200 yards, running for 200 yards, you're just not quite sure.
Yeah, the versatility of this Olympus offense will be really interesting to see against such a strong Brighton defense. Let's see, right now, Olympus on Deseret News is ranked 7th in 5A. Brighton is ranked 3rd. So it will be interesting to see if Olympus can jump into that top 5 ranking for 5A. Obviously not as important as the RPI, but there's a lot on the line tonight against the Bengals. For both teams. If Brighton loses, they're in a tough spot because they're considered one of the best teams in the state, and to lose to the Titans would knock them off that tier. I think it would put them in more of a pretender tier of they're no longer a contender for that 5A title. Maybe, do you think a win against Brighton would put Olympus into a 5A contender?
I think it would put them right on the line. You might consider them a contender, you might consider them just right on the line, right under it. We're not quite sure yet. But they're definitely really close.
All right. Let's finish up with our bold predictions, and then we'll go to the film room with Jack. So, my bold prediction, I think the Titans will have 2 turnovers against Brighton. I think they'll force some turnovers from that sophomore QB. I think Coach Whitehead will dial up the pressure, get him outside the pocket, having to make decisions on the run, and he'll make some mistakes. What about you, Jack?
Well, I was thinking pretty similar in the same thing, but I'm not sure. I think very late game, Brighton might have a chance. And if he hasn't really been in a close game this year. And so being in a close game, a huge game on the line, last possession to win it, there'll be a lot of nerves, and if they can get pressure on him, I think there's going to be some mistakes there.
All right. Well, now we'll go into the film room with Jack.
All right. Well, I'm Jackson Bodley, and here I'm going to be breaking down how Olympus' offense has been more successful this year than we've seen in years past, and what they're doing to start off here, we're in the wing T, and they have 3 backs that they can hand it off to, and they're all very fast and capable of making people miss an open field. And so here, I think they fake a handoff to Ryan Renard and hand it off to another person, and Kearns wasn't quite sure what they're going to do, when or where they're going to hand it off, and so it's really hard for them to tell what's going on. And I think if you watch right here, the linebacker actually goes to the wrong hole because he wasn't quite sure who was getting the ball. He had a great burst of speed there to get through the open hole and get a good gain. This next play is the wing tee again, but here they run a very similar play to that they run often, but instead of handing it off, they do a fake handoff, and with the fake handoff, they threw it right over the linebackers, because the linebackers, they moved up thinking it was going to be a run. Olympus notices that, and they threw it right over the top to their tight end, Olsen, for a great gain. In years past, Olympus has really only been the wing tee, and it was a good offense, but when it came down to playoff time, it was a little too predictable, and the defense would figure them out by the time it came postseason. But this year, they have implemented a new formation, and it's the spread formation. It's ran with 4 receivers and a running back in the backfield. We've also seen them run the running back out into the receiver slot with 5 receivers and no one in the backfield. But usually it's just 4 receivers with the running back. And this spreads out the opponent's defense, which gives you a lot of passing lanes, and it's a very great offense for passing. So now Olympus, they're able to pass really well out this offense. And each week we've seen it get better and better. After Mountain Ridge is a little bit, it was okay because it wasn't quite ready yet. But in Hunter it got better, and against Kearns we saw it get better, and it really took off against Murray. And then out of the spread formation, usually when they're consistently attacking with that, the defense is gonna step back and play a little bit back against the pass. But that's not all Olympus can do. They have a lot of runs. They have a few runs with the running back out of the spread, and they can run it right the middle if they're able to get you, if you leave the middle wide open. As we see right here, they hand it off. Their fast back's able to get in, finds open field, and with his speed, he gets there really fast, and I think he makes a couple of guys miss here too. So their spread offense is really good at running the ball and getting their receivers into open space, which is where they thrive. One more play Olympus has done, because on the spread offense, you can play man-to-man and keep your backers in, so you can't run up the middle or pass if you have good enough man-to-man coverage. But Olympus also can do, they can do a read option where you now have to defend the quarterback and the running back, which here I think is Sam Siegel. Both of them, you have to defend them because they can both run. And right here they do a read option, and Seth Roberts takes it himself. That's all for me here this week.
Thank you, Jack, for that amazing film presentation. Let's go with our player of the game selections. Who do you think will be the key player tonight, really?
I'm not sure. I think I'm going to have to go with Seth Roberts for Olympus. I think they're going to be planning a little bit more for Ryan Renard and Sam Siegel, and it's going to open up the pass game for him to have a big game.
I think I'm going to go with Anthony Olsen, the big tight end. Yeah. He's going to be critical in this passing game. It's going to be interesting because Lander Barton is probably going to be matched up on him, as the tight end, outside linebacker. We'll see if the Titans can get him the ball because he has been really successful. He's the leading receiver right now for the Titans. And I think they'll really try to utilize him against Brighton. Well, let's talk about our predictions for the game. Why don't you go first, Jack?
Me? I think in the first half, we're going to see Olympus down 14-10 at the first half. In the second half, they're going to come out with a new game plan defensively to maybe get more pressure on the quarterback. And they're going to end up winning 24-21.
Nice. I think we'll see Olympus kind of start off, a little shaky, maybe 7-7 first half. First quarter, and then I think Brighton will lead at halftime, maybe 14-10, but then I think Olympus scores a late touchdown and wins 17-14. Thank you for watching, and encourage you to join us next week when Olympus takes on East at East. So there will be a pregame show now before every away football game. Every home football game, we will not do one because we will do it as part of our broadcast on OlyTV. You can hear both me and Jack commentate games on OlyTV. We'll see you next week. Go Titans.